Hello, and welcome to Somewhat Damaged. I'm your host, Greg Alpern, and with me, as always, John B. This week, we welcome the man, the myth, the legend, the host of The Ding Dong Show, a guy trying to set a Guinness World Record for wearing the most amount of different t-shirts for the most amount of consecutive days in a row, and the writer and star of the cult classic film Windy City Heat. It's Don Barris.
Last time you came to my club, I was like, you want to go on stage? You're like, yeah, not tonight. And I'm like, this motherfucker comes all the way from LA, doesn't want to step on the legendary stage of stand-up New York. I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Number one, I didn't come there to do stand-up. I came there because I came out there strictly because I was working there. I was working for a TV show, and I was just going around saying hello to people around. And I know that the club's a big whoop-de-doo club, but here's the thing. I also, one time I was, oops, hold on. Oh, this really went crazy. Oh, it just had all of our conversation on the text.
That's not scary at all.
I'll send it to you so remember everything, how mean you were to
me. I got the whole thing. It's amazing.
All over my Twitter for all the fucks that I give. Still...
But to tell you the truth, I also, New York, every time I've gone there, they've hated me.
Well, now we hate you even more. How about that?
I love Don.
And that. Thank you.
I love you, Don. Every time I go to the store, it's always a pleasure to see you up on that stage, even if it was behind a bar during the pandemic.
Oh, you saw then?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was out there all November. I mean, I was running around too, but like it's always a pleasure to see you on the lineups. And how's it feel to be back, man?
It feels wonderful, to tell you the truth. I was thinking before the pandemic, because of my because I do TV warm-ups and all that, I had gone over 17 years. Every day I was on stage, and the pandemic came and just ripped it out.
Wow.
And you get used to going up every day and doing something, and it really fucked with my head, to be honest with you.
How did you pass that time? I mean, obviously, a lot of us just sat in friggin' doors and did nothing. But like, what did you do?
Up on a lot of masturbation that I was wasting by hand up when I could have been at home jerking off. I caught up a lot of that. Look at my hand. I've actually masturbated the fingerprints off my hand. You see?
Oh my God, you are jacked, man! Look at that! Look at that arm strength.
You're never gonna get through TSA now. So how, like, are you back now doing the warm-ups?
Yes. Jimmy's opened up. They've got about a half an audience. I do Jimmy Kimmel Live with about a half an audience. And going into that, I used to just spend the night just giving out t-shirts and talking to people, going in the audience, playing around. I'm not even allowed to walk in the audience area.
Right.
So and I can't give away any prizes, and people don't give a shit.
Yeah. So you're just going up and doing that 10 minutes, getting the crowd hot, and then.
Yeah, between 10 and 20.
How do you prepare? Like, do you prepare differently for that than you do when you go up at the store on the late night?
I don't prepare differently at all. I go up with no thoughts in my mind at all, usually.
Right.
Once in a while, I might say, hey, I'm going to try this. I put in this word in this joke, so let's do that joke tonight. You know what I mean? Like, I might say, not with mine, you don't. I might add something one night and it gets a big laugh. So okay, let's try that again.
Right.
So I may do something like that. But the nice thing about the Comedy Store is, for me, like, every night I go up. So every night I'm on stage and I can work like that.
Right.
So I have a hard time sitting down and writing stuff.
So every night's virtually a different set if you're just going up and.
Yeah, I'd rather play with the audience.
Right.
See what they have and see what they give to me. And right now, I think I have about like 5 really dumb jokes that I do, and I'll weed those in when I feel like, okay, I need something here.
Right.
But I'll talk to the audience, but I don't do it like the normal hack comic.
Sure.
So,
yeah, no, it's it's such a staple of the room, and how has it changed since they've been open
to me, and I don't know, it's probably the same to you. I mean, there's a lot of things that you cannot talk about anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you had like a very simple joke that involved race in any way, that's not allowed in any way.
Huh.
I'm the farthest thing in the world from racist, but sometimes you may say something that's funny, but you can't do that anymore. And I understand that, and fine, good. And so I just completely stay away from that. I completely stay away from anything sexist, anything at all. It's really kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Do you think a thumb has been put over a lot of comedians with this kind of wokeness? I mean, LA is kind of like that area that, in New York especially, where, journalists will come out to shows and they're not going to like a joke. Do you feel that you've got almost a muzzle on you now?
I do, but I also feel this. I'm very lucky because I usually close out the store, either in the main room or the original room. So I'm the last one to go up. I've like the last few times in the main room, I've had a little bit of a hard time because it's just, now I'm going up at 10:30, which used to be the prime time.
Yeah.
Where you see a Bill Burr and somebody like that. And so now even though I'm the last one, it's like they really expect something special. And at first I was doing well, but the last 3 times I've been in the main room, it's been kind of like, ugh. I walked away thinking, oh, I did not do well there.
It's awesome to hear that honesty, Greg, Don, and specifically from you, like hearing that, like, somebody that's been doing it this long, that you can say, yeah, last 3 sets have not been good for me.
In the main room, in the original room, I'll go in and I'll kill, but that's
right.
a little bit later. That's closer to midnight.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. Maybe I'm not a 10:30 comic.
Do you think
go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
Do you think it's at all because the makeup of the audience pre-pandemic is different than it is now? Because you certainly had a lot more tourists and Australians and people from all over the world coming in pre-pandemic, and now it's they're not coming here. It's all locals basically. So you think that has anything to do with it? Like the makeup's changed?
No, I actually like the locals because the locals, like a lot of people that come specifically, they wait till the end of the night to see me.
Yeah.
So they kind of know what they're going to get, and they are anticipating that. And they like to, they'll either look at what I do, if it's something I haven't done before, but they also like it when I tell a joke, and they like watching the audience's reaction.
Yeah.
Because they know what's coming, and they'll watch the audience. So I'm kind of lucky in that aspect. So I can use a joke 4 nights in a row, and people are looking at it in a different way, and they're not, oh geez, right, do something new.
Yeah.
There may be some people, but I don't care.
What kind of chips you eating?
You know what? I had a thing for guacamole today. And I got some guacamole, and I got thrown out of a grocery store.
Which one?
Ralph's. And this cocksucker George, it's the second time this fuckhead has thrown me out of Ralph's.
What did you do in Ralph's to get thrown out of Ralph's?
All right. I was walking, and I was actually trying to find, and I haven't, I thought, you know what? They've got great guacamole there. Let's add some of this.
Right.
And, so as I stopped by, this fucking guy pushing he runs over my foot with his broom, just not paying attention. Oh, forget the fact that, so now I go up to check out, and I'm trying to get back in time for this. So I didn't realize some people just have no fucking concept of being on time.
John.
Yeah, exactly. So I get in line, the line is completely empty. But now I see the same guy pushing that broom, and he pushes it, and he now is turning around. So I move my cart up and I start putting stuff on, and he pushes the cart backwards, and he looks at me like, yeah, do something. I go, don't you fucking stare at me like that. Don't you fucking stare at me. And so George, the fucking manager, comes out, don't take his stuff. And I go, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Well, you're messing up my guacamole.
It wasn't even that. It was like, hey, I want to get some guacamole before I talk with all these guys. And, you know, these big shots in New York who can make a fucking career. You know, Don, Greg, these guys, they're fucking career makers. Look,
You know,
there's not much we can do with yours, Don.
We're kingmakers.
Eric Aligny was nothing until he met you guys.
Nothing. We took the Tampa out of that boy for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh God. So, not to get off the guacamole topic, but
Get off.
I'm really
wrong. Am I wrong? If some guy fucking stares at you like he's gonna fucking punch you, I did nothing wrong. Fucking bitch.
And fuck George.
I'm
fuck
sorry.
George.
Fuck George, and I'm not gonna let this sit down. I'm gonna make a big thing out of it.
You should. Fuck George, fuck Rouse, all those guys.
I'm just intrigued because I've been to the Ralphs on Sunset at like 11 p.m. at night, and literally people are just fucking jerking off in aisle 2. And
Yeah.
you get shit.
I can tell you this: that's rock and roll, Ralphs. And I one time, maybe should I tell something personal?
Sure.
Whatever you want to do.
I had sex in one of the aisles like at 4 a.m. at Ralph's.
What? Wait. At the
I'm telling
corporate,
the truth.
what's the aisle number? First of all, what aisle was
I don't
it?
remember what aisle it was. I don't remember. I just know that I was with somebody who was a dirty, dirty girl. And just to do it, I just kind of went up and started playing. And then I was on the floor. And one of the guys that knew me there, because I always go in the middle of the night, knew me, and he just was like, yeah.
John, can you imagine the sight walking into Ralph's at 4 a.m. and Don's on the floor?
And to be honest with you, I just put it in and pulled it out.
Just to say you did it.
Yes.
You know, I would choose the cereal aisle because you could take those cheap off-brand cereals that look like little pillows, and you could kind of recline yourself a little bit, so you got a little bit of an angle going on with that. That's the aisle that I would choose.
John, maybe when you have sex, you plan every move out. I'm spontaneous, and that's what the ladies seem to like. They never know what's coming.
Clean up.
I didn't have plans of what aisle I was going to do it in.
Yeah, well,
but again, I'll think cereal aisle.
That should have been a scene in your movie. Clean up aisle 4, please. But I want to talk T-shirts for a second.
Uh-oh. What the fuck? What the fuck is John doing? Oh, first he's late, then he disappears. What kind of bullshit is
Are
this?
you listening into this podcast?
I don't see it, John. I don't see ya.
John is disappearing into the hills of New Jersey. So he'll be back. So let's talk T-shirts for a second. You must have the largest collection, or there's a few people I know, all happen to be comedians, have insane collections of T-shirts, right? You, Florentine, Don Jameson, have well-known T-shirt collections. You definitely take the cake, and you're going for a record.
Yes, I am. I tried to do the record before, but then I found out that I fucked up.
How?
Well, a couple times. First of all, I did it a half year, a different shirt every day for a half year. Then I did it 365 days. When I did it, I think my final shirt said I did it 365 shirts in 365 days. Then I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go for the world record of the most shirts worn, different shirts on different days and what was the record. So I started doing it. And then when I found out the record, I thought, holy shit. And the record is some guy did it for over 10 years.
What?
Yeah.
A different shirt for 10 years?
Yeah. And he died trying. So I guess it would have been 2020. I had done it for over 3 years. And then I started looking to make sure that everything. And then what I would do sometimes is I would buy a new shirt and, I haven't worn this one. And I'd buy a new shirt and I'd wear it. Well, I went back and looked and, for different circumstances, there were 3 shirts, different shirts, but the same pattern. And so I said, okay, so then I just said, okay, I want to do 1,000 different shirts, 1,000 different shirts.
Right.
I got to 1,000. And I said at the beginning of this year, I'm going to try to set the world record. And today, this is from yesterday, so I haven't worn today's shirt. This is shirt number 254 or something like that.
That's Kylo Ren from the...
Oh, really? It's not Darth Vader?
It's Darth Vader? No, that's Kylo Ren.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I put on my thing, Darth Vader.
No, Kylo Ren from... I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy in the world, but I happen to...
Fucking nerd.
Hey, John, why don't you keep it down? We can't see you. When I can see you can talk.
No, that's Kylo Ren from the first... when they started these new sequels of Star Wars movies like 5 years ago. That's the new bad guy.
Okay, well, I don't have that. You know what? I'd love to get a stand-up New York shirt.
Yeah, John.
I can do that. I will send that. We'll be in LA first week of October. So I will definitely. I will have 3 different versions of the stand-up New York shirt for you. The vintage one
would be 3, yeah, because a lot of them I buy a lot, but there's a lot of like fans that send them to me.
Sure.
And they've been very nice, and so I'll wear like Chippewa Middle School of Des Moines, Iowa. I don't care. I would like to get, but I'm going to do I don't know when I'm going to do it, but like I will do some, like I'll do nothing but Beatles shirts. I'll do nothing but Quentin Tarantino movie shirts, all different. So I'll put those back to back and put them into a little thing. But yeah, I'd like a stand-up New York one. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about how you've accumulated all these shirts, because that's a lot. First of all, that's a heck of an investment if you bought all those shirts yourself.
I did buy a lot, but I will say a lot of people have been sending them to me, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's some that like somebody has sent that he may send me 40 shirts and you can tell they've been worn before, but I just wash them.
Right.
I'm fine with that.
Huh. So you know what? I'll send you some shirts.
Yeah, I'm trying to set the record.
Yeah,
I'm trying to set the world record. And then when I do set that record, what are you going to say? What have you done? What have you accomplished in life? You have to ask yourself.
Hey, listen, you'd be the second person I know that is actually in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Oh, look who's back. Oh, hello, John.
He's so pretty. He's so pretty.
He's in New Jersey right now.
He's driving through
Here's a question for people. Now, do you know much about New Jersey culture?
New Jersey culture?
We're both from Jersey.
We're both from Jersey.
Yep. Oh, you're both from Jersey? Okay. Then you can answer this because I've wondered this. Who is the bigger star in New Jersey? And it might be an era, it might be like fucking John. But who would you say New Jersey would be tied to more? Frank Sinatra or Bruce Springsteen?
Oh, it's definitely Bruce Springsteen.
Now, or like the people from before? I even remember that thing that I remember hearing the story that Bruce Springsteen tells about they saw Frank Sinatra in New York, and they say, and Bruce Springsteen's mother said, Frank Sinatra comes from New Jersey too.
Well,
So
you know what?
Like
I thought you were going to say Bruce Springsteen or Bon Jovi, because that's what most people ask.
I will tell you this, if I may say one thing about Bon Jovi. It's not that I don't appreciate the music, but boy, oh boy, did he kind of try to do a photocopy of Bruce Springsteen.
Sure.
Even in concert, trying to like talk his little rap like Springsteen does.
Yeah, I mean, they're not that far apart in careers starting.
Probably 10 years difference.
10 years. Yeah, I would say 10 years. And the reason I don't think it's Sinatra, and I'm a big Sinatra fan. I actually saw Sinatra one of his last concerts ever at Radio City Music Hall with my parents, and I don't think most people associate him with Jersey. They associate him either with Vegas or New York.
I think New York is what they associated with him, Greg. I mean, come on, the song.
They said Hoboken. Is it Hoboken?
Hoboken, yeah. You're born in Hoboken. I mean, you drive into Hoboken and it says on the sign, entering Hoboken, the birthplace of Frank Sinatra.
Exactly. So, I mean, he puts it out there now. All right, here's a question. And I will tell you I've had this like fantasy thing that you can do. And it would be interesting to see if anybody could do this. I'm going to give you 10 weeks. Each week you move somewhere else. But each time you are kind of on the inner circle of some band. So you could go to the 60s, you could go to the 40s, you could go currently.
Right.
But 1 week, you're part of that band. You're not working with them, but you're part of the entourage. So you might be backstage, but you can watch and you can pick dates and things like that. Like if you said Queen, oh yeah, I want to be with Queen for a week when they were when they did Live Aid or something like that. But I'll tell you this, one thing I would definitely want to do if I was going on this musical journey, one of mine always is a week with the Rat Pack
in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Absolutely.
There's no question. Like that would definitely be one of mine for sure.
What other things would you have?
I would probably have something with Miles Davis.
Really interesting.
I think that would just be, and I'm not the hugest Miles Davis fan in the world. I just like Miles Davis and that time when, in the 60s when he was incredibly popular and, like one of the biggest stars in the world in music. I think that would have been cool to see the jazz world from those eyes.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. There's many things that like, I don't know if I put it in my 10 weeks, but I even thought, it might be really interesting just because of the energy and the craziness. And I should say, I'm not a homosexual. I have nothing against homosexuals, but I will say this. I would almost like to see Bette Midler when she played the gay bathhouses.
Yeah.
Because Barry Manilow was her piano player.
Yeah.
And I think she's really funny. And so I think that would have been something. I don't know if I would pick it in my 10 weeks, but I mean, it's like, and I'm a huge Beatle fan. And I've never really figured out where I would want to be and follow the Beatles.
Yeah. I mean, the cave in London that week that they were doing those shows over there would probably be that.
When is that exactly, John?
That was like 1967, I want to say.
No, that was earlier. The cave
really?
Earlier, yeah. That was pre
Beatlemania.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So at least on Ed Sullivan's stage, I would probably say that week too.
Oh, 64. So you're going 64. That would be kind of an interesting week because you follow the Beatles their first week here. Their album had just gone #1. They had a #1 single. That might be an interesting thing the first week that they were here.
Right. Yeah. Anything newer that you would want to do, Don, though? Like maybe I mean, I'm not like maybe it's Maiden or like Metallica on the One tour.
There was a very close thing that I almost at one point I used to open for Dice Clay. You know that moron, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Andrew from Long Island.
Yeah, he's the Jewish fellow from Long Island.
Good Jewish boy.
He was I was opening for him at this time, and he was doing Metallica, and he was going on between Metallica and Guns N' Roses at the Rose Bowl, and he wanted me to come along with him and videotape him on stage.
Did you?
No, I didn't. I had another thing I had to do, but that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
He was banging some chick at Ralph's at 4 a.m. in the morning. Hey, I'm over here now.
Look who's judging me. At least I was here on fucking time, John.
And on camera. Come on.
Yeah, now you hide yourself.
You're listening to another episode of the Somewhat Damaged Podcast, part of the Storic Media Podcast Network and brought to you by Corona Premier, now available on Draft.
You know, it's funny because I'm a big Grateful Dead fan, so I would have to occupy 5 of those weeks, or maybe 4 of them, from a week in every decade of the Dead.
Really? Now, do you like it? I got to see him because they were on Jimmy Kimmel with John Mayer. Would you like to see? What do they call that now?
Dead and Company.
Would you like to see that or no?
I did. I've seen it like 5 times, and 2 of the 5 were fantastic, and the other ones were just okay. I have no issue with John. I think John's a phenomenal guitar player and musician, and I like the fact that he's in the band. A lot of people hate it. I think it's fine. This is not one of the decades I would pick. I would pick late 60s, mid 70s, late 80s, early 90s. So probably four decades.
Might be interesting to go on. Didn't the Grateful Dead was on that train journey across Canada, weren't they? I saw a movie where they went across Canada. The Grateful Dead was there. Janis Joplin was there.
The Rock and Roll Express.
I don't know what it was called. It might be, but it was like they had a documentary movie about it. But I'm saying Miles Davis was there.
Yeah.
That would have been kind of cool to see all that.
Yeah. There was some crossover in some of the jazz guys with the Dead back in the Woodstock year, late 60s, early 70s. And even Branford Marsalis did the historic run with the Dead in Long Island in the late 80s. And it's a funny story because, and I just heard this. So a couple of the most sought after Dead shows for Dead fans to listen to is this one particular show from March of '89 with Branford Marsalis, or Wynton Marsalis. I don't know. I confused the brothers. Branford, and he's the sax player, and he never met the Dead before ever. They invited him to come up on stage. He showed up, walked on stage, never have meeting any of the guys in the band. Met him first time on stage. Right, and played this epic set that to this day is looked at as one of the best sets the Grateful Dead ever played, with a guy that never met them before.
Very cool. Oh, that's when you're a great musician. And I'll tell you this, were you a fan of the Police at all, or no? Too much before your time?
No, that was right in my time. The Police, yeah. No, I love the Police.
Police were fantastic, and I will say this, but I always loved Sting, because he said, I want to try different music. And he did.
Sure.
And the minute he left the Police, he tried experimental shit like never before. So I was very appreciative of that.
Yeah, he did. I saw him in Central Park, maybe 20 years ago. And one of the guys who came out and did a song with him is this like famous Middle Eastern musician. I cannot remember his name, but it was such a cool performance.
Song like Dream of Rain, and then like he's like singing in the background,
something like that. But the music.
Greg.
Yeah.
John can't even show his face. He doesn't say much anyway. Why? You're in the middle of telling a story and he wants to interrupt you.
That's John. You know how John is. So anyway, I agree with you on Sting for sure. But I would occupy 40% of my weeks with the Dead, and then.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. I have to. I couldn't not do it. And then I definitely
what if you
throw
could
in.
only pick 1 week for each band? What if that was the rule? Can only take 1 week of the Grateful Dead.
It would be the 70s. It would be 1977, May of 1977.
You would want to be in there. What was their, when they had in the 80s, they had their biggest song chart wise.
Oh, Touch of Grey. Yeah.
You'd want to be in the recording studio for that.
No, I don't think so. I
know you when I was joking.
Yeah. Oh, no. But I mean, listen, those are the years that I got most into the Dead, because I was a teenager that I was able to actually get in a car and drive and go to shows and stuff. So that era really brought me deep into it. But I don't know. I would probably pick a Motley Crue like 1985, 87 Motley Crue,
Yeah.
just for that experience, because those guys are crazy. And I don't know what else. John,
Just the hotel parties alone with those,
I
I mean,
know.
would just be amazing with the crew.
maybe Zeppelin in the Hyatt House, the Riot House years.
You know, that's right next door to the Comedy Store.
Yeah, right across the street. Yeah. Oh no, next door. Next door. It's the Andes now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I'll tell you this. You know, here's the thing. I love Led Zeppelin's music. I just don't think Jimmy Page ever created on stage what he did on record.
Right.
I don't like the way he played all over the place. And I like a band, like I've seen the Eagles a few times. Their songs sound exactly the same way they do on the record. And that's the way I like it.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't into all that other stuff, but you know, Led Zeppelin, it just seems like their live performances were so different.
Right.
In my mind.
I mean, I never saw them live. I mean, it's funny because
they had that movie, The Song Remains the Same, where I
right.
think it's terrible. I think it's
terrible. I've seen Page separately alone. I've seen Plant alone. I saw Jimmy Page and the Black Crowes do all Zeppelin songs a couple of times when they toured together back in the late 90s.
Did you ever hear that album by Train where they did like Led Zeppelin 2 or something like that?
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
No, the guy's a great musician, the guitar player. He's a great guitar player, and Pat definitely sings well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to say. And his voice was fantastic.
Yeah, they did that on Stern a few times. Played Zeppelin covers, and they were always really good. John, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. We can't see you. Just your big.
Yeah, I'm at my house now, so I'm about to go on so Don can't make fun of me anymore.
I'm not making fun of you. Hey, I didn't make fun of you. I was just pointing out something.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I am one of the worst broadcasters to date. To be honest. I'm not on time.
Thank God Greg keeps this thing together.
He does. He holds it together very well.
Yeah, my nickname is Glue.
But I would say, I mean, I would have to like, I'm a different generation, you know, so I probably wanted to go and see, I would love to see New Kids on the Block at their prime. You know what I mean?
And maybe you could suck a cock before you went to the concert. Perfect evening for you. Holy shit.
Wait, so John,
you would really pick New Kids in the Block?
I mean, and at the peak, I mean, like, I'm not even saying New Kids, like, I mean, I would probably just to see, because I would want to see all these progressions. So one band is probably anything Jackson 5 or Michael Jackson, probably. I'd probably want to see that for a week. But, you know, I'm a big pop culture guy. So, you know, how did those, I mean, I toured in the early 2000s. So I kind of know what it's like to be a fly on the wall, but not for like a major band.
Now, when you toured, was it like New Kids on the Block where every hotel you would stay at, girls would be yelling at your name, John, have the signs outside all night?
Not that extreme. They were a little bit, but they definitely, I mean, I was on the Warped Tour, so it was that pop punk, Southern California.
Really? Are you a musician?
I'm not. I was a tour manager.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like I kind of experienced it, but it was a different vibe back then. You know, like we would hear all these stories about, what's the name of that book? Sex, Lies, and Cocoa Puffs. Was that it, Greg? Drugs, sex, and Cocoa.
Who the author? What's his name? Klosterman.
Yeah. It was essentially about being on the road. There was a lot of it, and you know, like the quote unquote bygone era, the good old days had kind of passed. But I don't know. There's something about that I want to see. You know, knowing what we know about Jackson 5, I'd love to see how that worked. Michael Jackson in general, his stage shows were amazing to do a week, and seeing the Moscow shows. I mean, now I think, say Moscow, Billy Joel doing the USSR. I mean, that would have been a huge thing to kind of be a fly on the wall for.
Who do you think is bigger in the New York area, Billy Joel or Frank Sinatra?
Sinatra, I think. Greg, can you agree on that one with me?
I mean, I I have to say Sinatra. You know, again, I think that really depends on who and the age demo you ask, right?
Here's the thing: people hate Billy Joel.
Yeah, like
They despise
Why?
his music. Anthony Bourdain was one of the biggest guys that was pretty open about hating Billy Joel and not allowing Billy Joel music on the kitchen line.
I think Billy Joel is spectacular. And
I agree too. He's one of my favorites of all time. I've seen him about 22 times.
have you really? I would
Yeah.
love to see him. You know what I,
I
would
mean,
like to have
Don,
seen?
you got to come by when he does the residency tour at the Garden. It
Yeah.
is unbelievable. And like everyone's like, you know, like a lot of people come out of town, but like it's not a bad. It's like a $50 ticket.
I would say that I would absolutely love to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, now, before we didn't get any, now we get 2 shots of you. Fucking egomaniac.
making up for lost time.
I would love to see that. That would be wonderful too. And I think I love. See, I'm a huge Beatles fan, and the fact that I think he too is a huge Beatles fan. Like when he closed Shea Stadium.
I was there. I was that last play at Shea.
Oh,
And seeing McCartney come on stage, like if you hear the backstory, he literally touched down on a private jet in the right out in Teterboro, and then they had to like get through like immigration like super quick, and then they literally had to get right there, and they had no idea if he was going to be able to close the show. But like, yeah, I mean, here's the second partner, Don. If you're a huge Beatles fan, have you seen McCartney live?
yeah. I was actually at the Dodger Stadium show, which was the closing show of 2019, and he may never tour again. So I may have seen the final concert Paul McCartney did. He brought Ringo Starr up. I was in the 10th row, and behind us, I saw like, what's his name? Johnston from Elton John's band, a couple guys like that. Everybody came to that. But what, you know, and I'm telling you, and I'm not ashamed to say, when he came out, I started crying.
Wow.
Oh no. Blackbird came on weeping.
It's just
weeping in
but
public.
you know what? He was on. I actually got to fist bump him when he was playing Jimmy Kimmel Live because they shut down the street on Hollywood Boulevard. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Paul McCartney. And as he came out, I gave him a fist bump.
Wow.
Oh my God!
I was doing the audience warm up, so I'm and I'm telling you this. And then I stood on the side, and he's got that piano that's all kind of like psychedelically painted, and he's playing songs like all these things. And I was standing next to his tour manager that had been with him for over 20 years, and he's just sharing all these great stories. But I could hear the piano, hearing the actual piano before I could hear it.
Oh, that's wild.
In the audience. It was my greatest experience musically ever. And
Did you ever think, Don, that being like that kid as young as you were, and you're like that you would have these opportunities?
Yeah,
I mean, you fucking living the dream, man.
Even this, Van Halen played on there, and Van Halen, David Lee Roth was playing, and he was like in the opening. They did a song, he threw up the mic, and it hit him, and he cracked his head,
and it bled. Yeah.
And if you watch it, there's, I think on YouTube they have that, and you hear me get up and start, okay, hey. So but I mean that was a pretty cool thing.
That was the first appearance they did as a band back together, was on the Kimmel show.
Was it? I didn't know that. Maybe I may have known. Oh, where'd John go? Is this the way he runs his club?
I mean, it's unreal, in and out and in and out and in and out. I will tell you, I've probably in my life, I used to publish a music magazine. So
you are a fan of music.
Oh yeah, for sure. And at that time, in those several years that magazine was in existence, I went to see live music 4 to 5 nights a week in New York City. Everything from little baby nobody bands to Elton John at Madison Square Garden. Right. Yeah. I mean, and so every single type of music and everything.
Just out of curiosity, do you like Elton John?
Yes.
Me personally, I like some Elton John. I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm a big Elton John fan, but I certainly respect Elton John, and
Yellow Brick Road. Every time that song comes on, I mean, come on.
What song?
The
What song, John?
chills.
Believe it or not,
Yellow Brick Road.
bad reception. What did you say, John?
Yellow Brick Road is
Oh.
one of those songs.
I actually do that in my act sometimes.
You do?
Yeah. I'll just sing it. And it always gets a laugh. Oh, look at the puppy.
She had it done. She had it done.
That's Leo. Leo's the star of the show.
Hello. Well,
He's the reason that I had to sign off. He was chewing at something. Jeez Louise.
just a second. Hello?
Greg,
Yeah,
I mean,
John, the owner of the club, was late, and then he had nothing but, so we're a little behind. Okay, but just so you know, I was probably the best guest this show has ever had. They'll probably tell me that at the end. All right, see you shortly.
but it sounds like you need to sign off soon.
Oh, pretty soon, but I'm okay. She's like a little bit behind. So
what I was gonna say about
I enjoy talking music more than anything. So
yeah, me too.
I'm having a blast doing this.
I'll end my musical journey with you for today on I mentioned I've been to all these concerts and everything top to bottom. And the one show that I think moved me the most of all the bands I've seen, and I've seen pretty much everybody, was Michael Jackson. And I saw Michael Jackson on September 10th, 2001.
Whoa.
At Madison Square Garden. Right. That was his that tour those two shows he did that at all was his like comeback.
Monday, wasn't it? It was a
I
Monday.
don't remember the date.
It was a Monday.
Maybe
because do you know why I remember? And I'm sorry to cut, because it was also the VMAs on that Monday as well.
I don't remember. But that show, I remember sitting in that audience on the floor.
Greg, I want to hear this. Let John go with it. Just get. Oh yeah. You were part of the conversation. You were a big part.
Okay. John, how do I mute? So no, I'll make it quick. So I'm on the floor in, the second Michael Jackson hits the stage, I've never experienced a feeling like that in my life. Of all the shows I've been to, from the bands that I was the biggest fan of, sitting front row and watching Van Halen and Eddie Van Halen literally blow my mind. This was nothing like I ever experienced ever, and sat in awe for 2.5 hours as he did, his show. It was the most unbelievable thing I ever saw, like live, and I couldn't believe I felt that way. It's sitting in that audience watching this guy perform. It was the most incredible thing, and to this day, it's the greatest show I've seen in person.
I'll tell you something. When you say that Michael Jackson thing, I feel that he's one of the most talented musicians ever. I will say this. I got a chance to see them on their victory tour when he went out with the Jacksons, but he didn't tour for Thriller. So this was his Thriller tour.
Yeah.
So the excitement that you're talking about, it was crazy.
Yep.
And I'll tell you a little story. This is how stupid I was. They had these shows, and I was going to get tickets, but I had to get like 15 tickets. And so I got in line in Detroit. And when I saw how long it was taking, I stood to the side because I heard that they were opening for another show, and people got weirded out because I was just standing off to the side. And so they came out and they said, what's the matter? And I said, well, I've been waiting here. I tried to get tickets before. I got screwed because they never announced this. I drove here as fast as I could from Saginaw, Michigan, which is a 90-minute drive. I did all this stuff, boom. And I said, but I need these tickets. And I promised these people I'd get them good seats. They said, would you come with us? I literally thought they were going to, people at the Silver Dome, I thought they were going to beat the fuck out of me. so was afraid to go with him. But you know what they probably were going to do? They're going to take me. They were going to give me good seats, and I was going to pay for them that way. What a moron! What a moron! But I will say that is incredible.
Yeah.
That was you know what's for me, because I do the audience warrant for Kimmel. Like I go on stage before all these bands.
Yeah.
And I get to, hey, how are you? And I'm telling you this, there have been some. The most disappointed one was Prince, because I love Prince.
Right.
Came there and he hardly sang any of his songs. He had this girl singing most of the time. I'm like, oh. But I'll tell you
Have
what.
you seen Prince live though, Don? Like anywhere else?
Live. What's that? No.
Have you seen Prince?
Nowhere else.
Yeah.
I almost went and saw him at one of those concerts he did here in town where he would turn off all the lights.
Yep. I've heard about those. But
one of the, like, I always go up and I'll shake everyone's hand. And I went up to Trent Reznor and shook his hand. I said, I just want to say big fan. And he said, oh yeah, what have I ever done? And I started talking about, like, not only Nine Inch Nails stuff, but I said, oh, and you produced this and you did this movie soundtrack and you did, and he goes, oh, okay, I guess you do know me.
Yeah.
Trent Reznor made eat my shit, man.
I'll tell you, I'll quickly tell you my Trent Reznor story, because it's kind of the opposite.
Do you like Trent Reznor?
I love Nine Inch Nails. And by the way, this podcast name, Somewhat Damaged, is a Nine Inch Nails song.
Yeah.
That's where the name comes from. So I started my music magazine in 1999 because I needed to get into a Nine Inch Nails concert at Irving Plaza in New York City. And it was a radio only concert. And I had no way I wasn't going to wait online or start calling into the radio station. And I happened to have a friend who worked at Interscope who said, here's the publicist, call him, talk your way into getting tickets. So I called up the publicist. I said, I have a music magazine I'm starting to publish online, and I'd like to go cover the concert. And he was like, okay, I'll leave you 2 tickets. Come meet me and I'll get, you can go into the show. And I was like, holy shit, that was easy. So the next day after the show, I'm like, I better write an article and put it on my website that I'm claiming I have, which I didn't. And it started a 10-year career of being a music journalist, right? So I'm on a plane on JSX from Burbank to San Francisco, right? You know that airline that leaves out of Burbank? It's this fake semi-private airline. You pay it's whatever.
Never heard of it. I don't run with the people you do.
No. I paid $99 for that flight, and Trent Reznor and his producer guy were on it. So we get off the plane. There's only like 50 people on the plane, and you go from hangar to hangar, right? So there's no airport. I'm like, okay, he's waiting for his guy or something. I'm like, I got to go up and tell him this story, right? Like, when else am I going to bump into Trent Reznor? So I go up, I start telling him this story. He literally had this expression of, I don't give a fuck on his face. And I stopped my story like midway, and I'm like, it was a pleasure to meet you. And I just walked away. He did not care at all.
But that adds to the character of, like, oh, really? You're a fan? What have I done?
Yeah.
So, exactly. What have I done?
But I even knew, like, I had just, like, it just so happened going into that, because, like, oh, Trent Reznor is going to be on the show. Oh, I'm going to study all of his shit. And I was trying to find all of his soundtracks that he had done. I put in a iTunes, folder of everything he's done, everything he's produced, all that kind of shit. So it's pretty knowledgeable at that exact second.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's really good to know your stuff and not know, like, oh yeah, I like that one thing no.
All right, John. So Don's got to roll soon. So hit him up with your food question.
Let me just, before you do that, where would you rank my interview on the greatest interviews ever that you've had on this show?
First, of course.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I would have to go. This is number 1, because this is the most engaged, even with me coming in and out. Like, I like sometimes
and being late.
And being late. But like But I mean, listen, Don. I mean, you are a legend in itself. I would love to have you at the club, but hearing the music and not having to talk comedy sometimes is so much better. And like, this. I mean, I love that question. If you could choose 10 weeks, who would you tour with? I think that's a fucking
Where would
amazing
you go?
question.
Oh yeah.
Where would you go? I think that's.
it's
I
like
love that question.
fantasy. You know what? Do this for me, John. Next time, come up with an idea of, and you can pick dates. So you could say, you know what, I want to be here. And like Elton John, I might want to be November, Thanksgiving, around that time with Elton John, 1974. Final appearance of John Lennon ever being on stage during an Elton John concert. So that might have been cool to go and see that.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's so many. So we end all of these on a food question.
All right.
So I'm going to let John, maybe you tweak it a little bit based on some of what we talked about, but let you go. You go. You shoot.
So I mean, Don, we're just gonna go and fill the rampant. I mean, you do a lot of travel, and you've been all over. I'm gonna ask you. We always ask our guests, what was the best thing they had to eat this week? However, you're dining on your guacamole from Ralph's right now, so I know that's probably top up there. But I want to ask, what is your favorite food that makes you think of home?
Interesting question, because home for me is Michigan. Real white trash. Actually, Jimmy Kimmel's first wife was also from Michigan, so she used to always cook Michigan food for me.
What's Michigan food, though?
You know what? I'll tell you this.
Fish.
One of the things I've heard a lot lately. Have you ever heard of Detroit pizza?
No.
Yeah, Lions and Tigers is right next to Gotham. It's one of my favorite pizzas.
Oh, it is. Oh,
yeah,
see,
I enjoy it. Greg doesn't know what Detroit style pizza is, though.
Thick. It's real thick, and they put the sauce on top. It's real. I don't know if I'd even include that as my favorite pizza. I love Brooklyn pizza, but you're talking about that reminds me of. See, all I can think of, and when we went, and when I say we, I'm talking about Jimmy Kimmel Live. We did a week in Michigan during the Super Bowl numerous years ago. I think the Steelers played the Seahawks. And one of the things that I really got into, I remember as a kid, Faygo Pop. Not a food, but it's a local Michigan type of soda. And what do you call it there in New York when you call a soda or pop?
We sell soda. We say soda. I know pop is big in Michigan, right?
Pop, the way they describe all like Coca-Cola's pop. Give me one of those Coke Pops. But Faygo Pop is something that really reminds me of Michigan.
You should go to an ICP concert.
What is that?
An Insane Clown Posse concert if you're into Faygo soda.
Yeah, I know.
And
really
kind of the only reason I asked that, Don, is because I had something today that projected me back to my childhood. Oh. I had clam chowder at Friendly's, which is this restaurant chain. It's an ice cream chain here in I guess it's the East Coast or the Northeast. But I had New England clam chowder, and I tasted it for the first time in a long time. And my mom was there. She's like, you used to eat this a lot. And we used to go to Friendly's a bunch when you were a kid. And I was eating it in front of her. I'm like, it tasted like I got transported back to being a child and like sitting down in a booth and waiting for my ice cream. It was one of those things that was
I know
it was out of body experience.
That's
why I had to kind of ask that question.
Well, and I think that I kind of understood that's what you're getting at. And I remember when we went to Michigan, I bought a case of Faygo Pop, all the different flavors. And I think I left 2/3 of it behind, but that's what I had. And you know what? I'll tell you this. We were going to come to New York in October. Jimmy Kimmel Live was. And we didn't do it because of this fucking COVID. And so they had to cancel that. But maybe next year.
Hope so.
Yeah.
And
we'd love to see it, Don. Greg, is there anything that you eat that brings you back to your childhood, man? That brings you back home?
you know,
Was
you,
my answer good? Was my answer
Yeah.
good?
That was
Yeah.
fantastic. That's exactly real, honest, authentic. I want to try this soda now. This pop.
Well,
there you go.
Fago, and we'll get to yours in a second. But the reason I asked that is because I didn't want to, like you said, the food, and soda pop is not really a food, but I thought that you were going for something that really, and that rock and rye was the kind and that was good.
Right.
And so I thought I was going for that, but I didn't want
Now,
the
perfect.
guy that you're considering your best guest ever to fuck up the one question that you
Still up there. Still holding the ranks. Very true and tried.
Okay, Greg, what are you gonna say?
I'm gonna say. I mean, if it's just to bring me back to my childhood, it's pizza, but it has to be like I grew up in northern New Jersey, which I think to this day has some of the best pizza ever, right? And I live in southern Connecticut, which has the #1 pizza place in the country year after year after year. Pepe's from New Haven, and there's just something about a piece of pizza that is a perfect combination of crust, cheese, and olive oil that if it's right, it immediately takes me back to my childhood pizza place that I used to go to almost every day because my next door neighbors owned it. And I was lucky enough to just be able to walk in, get a slice of pizza and walk out anytime I wanted. And that would be, yeah.
Very
God.
Would be
well, God, I appreciate you bringing me on. I hope I did okay with you.
John, we loved having you.
I wish one of the hosts would have been here the entire time instead
Yeah.
of like in and out. That was bullshit. And I'm telling you this, Erica Ligney will hear about the performance from John.
As he should.
Oh, now my producer's gonna be mad at me now. Come on.
Should have been here.
Should have been. Anyway, Don, listen, we're gonna be in LA in like a month, so hopefully we could link up and
stop by the store.
yeah,
Stop
for
by
sure, for sure.
Every night. So
And
it's very nice to see you, and thank you very much
too.
for this. And I hope I did okay. We didn't
We're
do
awesome.
comedy at all.
No, it's fine. Music is our thing. It's down with that for sure.
Well, very cool. Well, it was nice to see you, and I'll
You
see you
too.
in a month.
See you,
Awesome.
John. Thanks.
Good one.